Okay, I got James Merendino here. He's the director of the cult classic film SLC Punk and the sequel SLC Punk 2 and other films as well. And my name is Neil Patterson. This is my podcast, SUPcast. We are rolling on OBS. I'm recording. And hey, how you doing? You're in New York City right now?
Yeah, I'm in Harlem.
Okay, cool. We were just there. We did a gig in Manhattan. It ended up being at a place called Bar Reunion, which is this like kind of art thing.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to play Tompkins Square Park, but all the shows got pulled because of the whole Madball incident.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The giant gig. And so we ended up it ended up being a gig on the street, and then the cops
Wait, when did you play here?
We played here probably like a month ago. It was right as Como lifted the mask mandate.
Did you insist on people being vaccinated?
No.
For them to be able to enter?
No, what we did is
because Bruce Springsteen just did that.
That's crazy.
And then they were here in New York, Broadway. He played, and there were people protesting, saying they were being discriminated against because they weren't allowed in to see the boss.
Yeah. People freaked out on Facebook because we posted a meme that said it said punks wear masks, like something like that. And to that effect. And pretty much we were trying to be like the anti-John Joseph. We were trying to just say, hey, like, wear a mask if you're not vaccinated, please. We weren't telling anyone it was like required. We're just like, dude, just, come on. Yeah. Have a little respect for other human beings.
Yeah, I know it's like you're right and everything. But.
Right. And it was weird because as we got there, Como lifted the mask mandate. So it was like I hadn't been to New York City since 2019. And then I'm walking around by Madison Square Garden as the Knicks game is letting out, and there's just like fucking 10,000 people with no masks. So
yeah.
So we
I mean, like we got hit so hard in the beginning that the whole city's been traumatized. So
right,
everyone wore a mask until he said not to, and even still, a lot of people wear masks. I just went out today, like a lot of people wear masks.
Yeah, I'm vaccinated, but I wear a mask around my mom specifically just because she has lung issues. She just turned 73, and I don't want to kill her. So
yeah, the Delta variant.
Oh yeah, that's the new thing, I guess.
I feel like we're in a 60s like Andromeda Strain movie.
Yeah, it's like at first we
Delta variant.
Yeah, first we had the Alpha variant. Now we have the Delta variant.
It should be a movie with like with Bruce Willis, the Delta variant. I mean, it sounds like he comes flying in. He's going to beat the shit out of the COVID virus, kill the Chinese.
Yeah, save the day. I just
the world.
I just saw something about Kevin Smith working with Bruce Willis and how disappointed he was with that whole experience.
Oh, they made an action movie, right?
Called Cop Out with Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, I saw that. That was his one studio. I think that's one of the only studio experiences he's had.
Yeah, he didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's like Kevin's like, it's weird because Kevin's like he's really smart about comic books, but like the studio say they've never let him direct a comic book movie. It's weird.
Yeah, it's wild. He was supposed to do a Superman one, wasn't he?
Yeah, but like they just feel like I don't know. Like, he's not. He's great, but I guess I don't know. He doesn't really talk. I don't think he talks their language. He doesn't. They're really political. The studios really want you to be their dog.
Right.
Those things. They really want to, like, they have a formula. They want you to do it. I mean, even Favreau to, I think, an extent. I mean, I think he was grandfathered into those movies because he was friends with Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
But I think he really is like he like will do whatever I mean, he might be the stronger of those guys, but he does more or less what he's told. I don't think Kevin Smith, their sensibility matches with the studio.
Right.
I'm just assuming that, but it seems like it.
Favreau did Iron Man, the first Iron Man. That kind of just like started the MCU, right?
Yeah, Favreau's did a bunch of those. All the Iron. I think he did all the Iron Man.
Right, and then he went on to do like Mandalorian and all that.
Yeah, I think he also did Spider-Man. No, he was in Spider-Man. I don't know. He's in and then he did Mandalorian. Yeah, Jon Favreau. I met him like years ago, a bunch of times. He used to come over to my house in L.A. Before he did Swingers.
Yeah.
In the 90s, he would. Anyway, he was always at my house trying to figure out how to raise money for a movie.
Yeah, I just remember him as the Swingers guy, you know?
Yeah. Well, then he did Swingers, but then I ran into him and Vince Vaughn at at this place called the Bourgeois Pig, which is already like problematic, and and he was a total he was really rude to me. He was like all of a sudden like, oh, yeah, you're nobody. You're like a nothing. You're a nothing. I'm cool and you're not. Even Vince Vaughn was like, what's wrong with you, man? It was weird.
Oh shit.
I think it's because I made a movie a long time ago with Heather Graham, and so Heather and I were hanging out because my girlfriend had kicked me out of the house, so like Heather let me stay with her,
right?
And so she took me out because I was all depressed, and that was like one of the places we went, and I think he might have been because he worked with Heather on Swingers, so I think he was kind of being a dick because I was hanging out with Heather. I really don't know. Because honestly, before that, he was always like, James, how do you get money for a movie? James, how do you make all these little independent movies?
Right.
And after that, I don't know. And then I never saw him again. So my attitude about him is, whatever.
Right.
Not a nice guy. To me. I mean, just not to me, he wasn't nice.
It's weird how it changed from like, hey, help me out. How do you do this? How do you do that? To like him kind of blowing you off. But that's
I mean, again, he might have been drunk. I don't know.
Right.
He might be a nice guy. It was just weird that he was. But that's why. I mean, I moved from LA because that was a lot of my experiences in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I just got back. I'm in Detroit again. I was in LA for 5 years trying to do the music thing, and and had contacts and everything. Have an agent out there and everything. That's how I got the Reagan Youth gig. But man, being back in the Midwest is it's better. It's way cheaper too. Yeah.
Well, New York's not, but it's better.
Right.
It's bad. Anyway, they're burning up out there right now.
Yeah, everyone's burning up everywhere. Pacific Northwest, like record heat index. And I guess no one has air conditioning out there because they're not used to it being that hot.
Yeah, in Washington, right? Washington was like 115 degrees.
Yeah, crazy. And no one's got AC. So like I'm scrolling through TikTok and everyone's just like, we're dying out here. It's wild.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. During the pandemic, everything just caught on fire when I was out in Long Beach, and we were just like, you couldn't see the sun. And I'm like, maybe we should go back to the Midwest. And so we did.
So, okay. Because I thought Reagan Youth originally is from here. From
they are.
York. Yeah. And now you're living in, did you say Detroit?
Yeah. Metro Detroit. I'm right just north of the city.
How is the city? Has it recovered at all, or is it still wild dogs roaming the streets and stuff?
Well, it depends on which neighborhood you're talking about, because the places where it's been gentrified, it's like super nice. It's super bougie. There's like yoga studios and there's all types of fucking boutique shops and whatnot. And then like where my drummer, because I play in this other band, where my drummer of my other band lives, there's literally like, the grass is 6 feet fucking tall. Like there's abandoned houses, burnt down shit everywhere. You can like you can throw a show and like the cops won't even go there. You can graffiti whatever the fuck you want. And so it really depends. It depends on where you are in the city.
It's a partial ghost town. I mean, it's too big of a city to be a ghost town, but it's like I mean, because Gary, Indiana is a ghost town.
Yeah,
it's just interesting, like how some of those places there have just died. Also, you're pretty close to Flint, and that's pretty horrible.
Yeah, Flint's an hour north, and they've been dealing with that water crisis for I can't. It's been like 6 or 8 years now at this point, where Governor Schneider just kind of like turned a blind eye to the fact that the Flint infrastructure was completely failing, and all these kids and these children were poisoned, and then there was like a civil suit. And even I believe even the Senate was.
Didn't they purposely turn off the correct water? They shut it off and let it just come through the sewer. It was really like just ridiculously like negligent.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know the exact thing of what happened, but I know he knew about it and he didn't do anything about it, and a lot of people got sick. A lot of people, and they still haven't fixed it. They pretty much, it seems like they're letting the city of Flint just die. And it's terrible. It's fucked up. Yay.
Well, yeah, that sucks.
But let's post some memes about it, right?
Okay, yeah, that'll solve it.
Yeah. Memes bring us together. They're solving problems.
They really do.
But and that's where I became acquainted with you, is just kind of like I think you follow the Reagan Youth Facebook page, and I see that you have like a real cool sense of humor and sensibility about you, where you're kind of just like got your middle finger up to a lot of these like Facebook trolls, and I really enjoy watching that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, well, this last year was really sort of life after people. Like it was just, as everyone knows, like we were all stuck in.
Yeah.
So I ended up being online a lot.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, everyone's so, so aggressively against each other on social media that I find it amusing. And so I don't, so I don't take any of it seriously. It's a joke. And so, I don't know. So I try to clap back a little bit, but I mean, like, I don't know that it like has much meaning, when I make my next movie, I won't show up that much on the page. But I'm there. I'm just like bored right now.
Right. I think a lot of us kind of retreated to like this internet bubble where like, and I know just being super locked down in Long Beach, that was my only connection to the outside world. My girlfriend was like super panicked about COVID. So all I had was this little bubble, and especially with all the election crap and going on, it really weighed on my mental health. I had like an all-time low as far as depression. It was something I've been dealing with for years, but it was fun.
Yeah, I understand that. It was really bad. And I stayed online. It was like I was reaching out to this sort of, I don't know, like, because I started doing these, I started also streaming.
Me too.
I started showing my movies to that page as well, because I had nothing else to do, and I felt like I could connect that way, because there's no other way to connect to anybody.
Right.
And it was definitely dark. It was definitely a dark year. And yes, during the elections it was really depressing. I mean,
oh man,
I just couldn't believe it. And I can't believe it's interesting how many punkers, so-called, really love Donald Trump. I mean, I guess they bought the whole anti-establishment thing, but I was like, wow, man, that guy's a billionaire. He's like, and not only that, but he's a New York neoliberal billionaire, big government guy. I don't understand how they see that. Like, I mean, he's not anti-establishment at all. He's completely the establishment. He's friends with all those people. He's friends with the Clintons. I don't understand like how and then suddenly like punks are agreeing with evangelicals on. I mean, do these guys all? I just don't understand any of it. Like, and Mike Pence is suddenly cool with those guys. I just don't understand how they came to this conclusion that, well, it's punk rock to be Republican, which I'm not saying like, look, I'm an independent and I don't really take a political side, but I mean, how did it become punk rock to be, Republican? I mean, they don't like punk rockers. I mean, like that party doesn't like that at all. I mean, I guess libertarians, but I mean, libertarian to me is just, Republicans who want to smoke pot.
Yeah. Like Joe Rogan.
Yeah. I mean, so, I mean, I guess you could, I don't know. I mean, like when I was a kid, I registered as a libertarian, so I can't complain too much. But I'm not really a joiner. And what I found like in these last 5 years is that the team, I think it felt like a team thing, and everyone joined a team.
Yeah.
And I, like there were football teams.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate football, and I hate sports, and I don't join, I don't belong to a fucking booster club, and I don't wear like Yankees t-shirt or Go Bears hats and shit. I hated that. I've always hated it. In high school, I didn't like it. I did not root for my own team. I didn't root for anybody else's team. And the team used to beat the shit out of me, so like the idea that I would have to join a team to be on the Trump team or the anti-Trump team, it's just like fucking, I can't believe it. Cause I think it's more about that. I don't think that anyone understood policy. In fact, I don't think there were any policies.
Right.
Which I think it was just about owning libs from that side, and the liberals are getting mad because they're being owned. I don't know. So I felt like and it's still going, but I mean, hopefully, like I like the politicians to stay quiet out of my life. I don't want to know anything about what's going on with that shit.
Right.
Other than that, they're fixing shit, and I mean, unless they're going to come out and say they're actually going to do something significant for people, on a federal level, then to me, the only politics that matter are local. So,
right.
because they're the only things that I can affect, and they can affect me. I can't really affect much on the federal level. There's nothing I can do about that, but I can like get involved on a local level. And those are the only politics I really care about.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of these motherfuckers are just like, well, Trump says what he thinks, and that's punk rock, and they just like his swagger or whatever. But, like, honestly, do you think that dude gives a fuck about you or any of your friends or anyone, like, not in his tax bracket? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, what he says, though, I mean, yeah, he says whatever's on his mind, but what he says is fucking stupid, man.
I agree.
I mean, like, a lot of people say whatever they want. I say whatever I want. I'm not the president. I don't know. I mean, like, I agree that, and I understood that. I understood the appeal that he didn't sound like a politician who was sort of stilted and saying, folks out there have to, whatever, like the American people. I know that he likes to just tell, and everyone thought it was cool that he would tell like reporters to go fuck themselves or whatever. Except that from the position he was at, he's like the fourth estate is a kind of important institution in the country. And he literally wanted to lock those people up. And his supporters think it should be a good thing to lock reporters up. And it doesn't matter if the reporters are against you or for you. I've had a lot of bad experiences with the press. They smash my movies. They trash my work all the time. But I would not have it any other way. I would not send those people to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because then it just, and I think that he definitely looked into that. And his supporters are like, yeah. And then that becomes like, like I'm for Fox, it sucks. And again, all those, I don't understand any of it because I know for a fact that Tucker Carlson hangs out with people over at MSNBC down there at 30 Rock all the time.
Huh.
I mean, those people all hang out. They all just do this. They make a lot of money,
right?
A lot of money just chasing ratings. Like there's not like they're soulless. All of them are just stuffed shirts. I don't know why you would pick any of that shit either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, if I'm like at the gym or whatever and like Fox or MSNBC or CNN, if any of that shit's like on a TV, I just turn it off. I'm like, I can't. My mom has CNN like on whenever I go over there. It's just on repeat constantly, and she just, did you see what Trump did? Did you see what Trump did? I'm just like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would know if I rage watch that stuff. I can't do it.
Can't.
I just watch movies.
Yeah.
So I kind of I remember there was a time before Donald Trump where I just didn't pay much attention to all that.
Yeah.
I mean, even during Bush, obviously I didn't like the whole going into Iraq. I didn't like him being a president. I didn't like any of that, but it didn't affect me at all. I didn't care. I didn't lose friends over it.
Right.
I lost friends over Trump.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? And I've run into that guy a bunch of times. And, he's a Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
So, which is ironic because everyone thinks he's anti-Hollywood. He's not. He chases Hollywood. He had, he was a Howard Stern, he was a Howard Stern personality. Like a Howard Stern joke from the 90s. I mean, like Howard Stern in the 90s used to bring him on, and then Jade Barrymore and, people like that. And he, to make fun of them. I mean, he was in that. So like for me to reconcile him from, where I relegated him in terms of popular culture, I had relegated him to that.
Yeah.
Sort of this like wannabe celebrity, phony billionaire.
Right.
I just always knew that. I even a couple of times ironically went to his, to go to Trump Tower to take a friend that's coming to town to like have a dinner at one of his restaurants in Trump Tower, just to be funny. Just like, here, we're at Trump Tower, he has a golden, waterfall, and if you know it like that intimately and you've seen him at premieres, at post party premieres, he's picking up on the chicks and like the young girls. Like one time he picked up on my girlfriend when I was 21, you just like this, he's just one of those assholes.
Right.
And, so then all of a sudden he was the president.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, wow, I have to now realize, and not only is he president, but a beloved, like I will die for this man. And people have died breaking the law for him. I'm like, are you people, let me introduce you to the Donald Trump I know. Please come and meet this man. It's not even politics. This guy doesn't care at all about anything that he doesn't believe anything he's saying. He doesn't love you. Like he says, I don't know what to say. Like he became a folk icon. I don't know. It's just weird times. And he still is.
Yeah. He goes from being like this fucking cartoon character to like a deity in some people's eyes. It's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they handed the presidency to, I don't know, Joey Soprano. but not as like sharp though. You know, I mean, like, you know, but I mean, he's definitely a New Yorker. So, you know, he deals with the world in a way that New Yorkers deal with, you know, like, but a really rich New Yorker. He's a hedge fund guy. I mean, like you see those guys, I don't know, it's hard to, you know, you'd have to come to New York. I'll take you to a bar and you'll meet like 50 Donald Trumps.
Right.
Down near Wall Street. There are all these guys from Staten Island who make a shitload of money and they're assholes. You know, and they'll be like making jokes about you and stuff. And they sound just like Donald Trump.
Seems kind of like that American Psycho vibe, that Patrick Bateman type.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't seem like the most desirable people to be around.
No.
Fuck that.
Definitely not.
Or to have rule the country, you know, it's wild.
He's actually kind of a Wolf of Wall Street guy. If you see that guy, he's like those guys, like those, like just completely corrupt, like lots of cocaine, and money, and like a poster that says "Poverty sucks" on the wall with a, you know, with a picture of a Bentley and a guy with a riding crop, and you know, I mean, like just a fucking asshole, like an '80s poverty sucks asshole.
Right.
Just do it. Life's short. You can sleep with your dad. That kind of asshole.
Right.
Like a boomer. Yeah. A baby boomer. Legitimately a baby boomer.
Yeah. Like he falls in that category. So
yeah, like, you know, hippie when he was in the 60s, he went from cocaine to Rogaine. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like, anyway, it's all right. I mean, yeah, you're gonna like who you want. You're gonna like who you're gonna like. I mean, people bought it. I guess I understand. I sort of understand. It's just weird. Anyway, enough of that shit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the streaming and like with the onset of the pandemic, because I definitely started doing Twitch and I noticed you're doing Patreon. Are you getting a lot of engagement on there? Is that like, are you finding that takes up a good amount of your time? Is it helping you?
Well, I mean, I have about 20 people that just, it's just sort of like something that was occupied. I don't push it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't push it at all. I do it once a month. I stream in a private Facebook group and people come to and have 20 subscribers and we just watch some movie I made. And I just tell tell funny stories about making that movie.
Cool.
And everybody sort of has a good time and it's very small. And, you know, I just sort of, it's like $5. So, you know, it's not like a person. So it's not like it's any kind of, I don't know. I just did it just because I thought it'd be fun to do. I set it up over a year ago, the beginning of the pandemic. So it's just something to do. I mean, like, it wasn't like to take off any financial burden because I would need like, for it to make any significant financial, I would need like 1,000 people subscribing.
Right.
500,000 people. And then it wouldn't be as much fun because I wouldn't be able to really talk to people. It would be too broad.
Yeah, it's nice that it's kind of a small, because I notice when I do the streaming thing, it's definitely a small, tight-knit community. I know like everyone by their first name and there's like a rapport and it's fun because it's not overwhelming. It doesn't feel like a job. It's just like, hey, I'm farting around playing music on the internet and we're having a good time. Yeah.
I mean, I like to see the people once a month and it was really helpful. Sometimes I was like, God, because afterward I'd feel really great. Because I felt like I was hanging out with people. So. Yeah, but they're paying, but you have to pay to be my friend. It's only $5. It's only $5 though. I'm cheap.
Yeah, I'm a cheap date. But I mean, come on. But it's funny because just even in doing this podcast, like I used to do the podcast in my van, you know, and it was like, you know, I interviewed HR from Bad Brains, I interviewed Monkey from the Addicts, and like the people I was meeting through the punk rock community. I'm like, this is sick, and then it just went from that to these Zoom calls, which I just got used to doing. That's what we're doing right now. But it's weird when this is like the only way you can actually hang out with people, and you know, now that things are lifted, I actually hang out with people in real life. But this was all I had. So
yeah,
I was like, please hang out with me for an hour and a half, please, because I'm losing my fucking mind over here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And also I'm in an apartment in New York. It's not huge, it's bigger than most, but it's pretty small it's a New York apartment. So,
right.
So, it was sort of like, it's like this terrain that you can leave through this window here and interact with people. So that's why I ended up on here. But as far as, it's not as good as shooting, being on a set, but it's, it's something.
Yeah, it definitely made me a little less insane throughout.
In fact, last summer, I directed a movie through Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The actors, I had some actors who also had like camera equipment and everything. So I wrote a short movie for them to do, for us to do. I directed them in setting up the camera and how to use it and how to do the lens, the angles and everything, the lighting, and then did it all remotely.
That's amazing.
And then they sent me the dailies in Dropbox, and then I downloaded everything and I edited it, and it's just sort of like it's just a movie about being quarantined. So it's about like a couple that's quarantined that sort of like know each other as they're together online through a video game. They're playing a video game. Their entire relationship is based on LARPing.
Right.
Yeah. So I did that, and it was interesting. To do something.
And what's that called?
Oh, it's coming. It was called 90 Days of Games, because that was back when it was only going to be 90 days.
Right. Oh yeah.
It was only supposed to last 90 days. So yeah.
Well, that's a lot of people's real life love story these days. With the internet, it's fucking wild because sometimes it's not dating sites. Sometimes it's not meeting a person at a bar. It's fucking playing a video game, getting to know someone. And next thing you know, you scooped up a wife. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in some of those games, there's a game that I play sometimes called Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
And people do meet in there, and sometimes they'll even like have ceremonies in the game, in the space, the game space.
Yeah.
They'll get together and there's they exchange vows, and like I'll be gaming through and I'll notice this group and I'll be like, what's everybody all standing over there? And it's like a wedding's going on, I'm like, that's the future. That's fucking weird. And everyone looks sort of like cartoon. I don't know, like they all have these sort of dead faces, because they all look like NPCs, right? And but they're getting married, and then it's all in text. I'm sure it's all happening on Discord. I just not belong to their Discord thing. Yeah, but it's wow, and I'm just like, I'm thinking, like, God, we're definitely this is the end.
Yeah, we're definitely on the precipice of some sort of like virtual living inside of the box. And even with that game Minecraft, there's a group called
Minecraft.
Yeah. They do virtual concerts inside Minecraft. So where you like log in as your avatar and you can go like watch this do this virtual concert hangout. There was a group called 100 Gex that they were having fucking concerts during the pandemic with like all of these big hyperpop artists, and there would be thousands of people like on their computers, just, I guess, dancing at home, and it's wild. The future's now, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I wrote a script a long time ago that I thought that eventually there'd be two societies, one online and one offline, and the offline society would be complete like anarchy and like cities are burning. Yeah. Online, there would be sort of a proto-fascist or fascist sort of world that they lived in, and it was called Neon Moon. It was a comedy. We never got it made. Almost did, but it was just too expensive for a comedy. Yeah. But, so and that's kind of what's almost happening. Once they make those virtual headsets comfortable, that's going to be what people are doing. Yeah, you're gonna be banging strangers in the virtual world. It's gonna be wild. I have one of those Oculus things, and the problem with the Oculus headset is that it's this huge thing you put on your head, and it's hard to sort of, it's just once they get them down to like the size of our glasses, yeah, and it's still just as effective, then I think that shit will take off.
Yeah, or if they implant them in our retinas or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the final stuff, right? Body modification. What do they call that? Cyborging.
Yeah. My mom's bionic. She has a titanium hip, so she's
okay. My dad has that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. I remember when we were sitting in the pre-op and they just like handed around the actual hip itself. And they just passed it around this room with all the people that their loved ones were about to get surgery. And I'm holding this thing and I'm just like, they're gonna saw my mom's hip socket and put this there instead. It was kind of wild. But once again, the future's now. Terminator 2. It's happening in front of our very eyes.
Exciting. I'm excited.
Are you for real, or are you kind of freaked out by it?
I don't know. I'm old. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, I'm at the point with all the climate change and stuff that's going on. I'm just looking around. I'm like, okay, I just turned 40. I don't know how many years I got left, but I definitely don't want to procreate and bring anyone into this shit.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I'm 50, so yeah.
Yeah. That's good, I think.
Yeah.
I have a little nephew, and I remember my little nephew was like reading a magazine and trying to swipe the pages like they would swipe an iPad.
Really?
Yeah, I witnessed this, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude?
I mean, like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be like the old man, like going like, you kids, but I mean, I don't mind that technology. I just like, right. We definitely fucked up on the climate thing because it's too late to do anything about that, I think. I think, and anyone that people are saying, like, I'm sure people listening, some of your people that would stream this say like, oh, you guys are a bunch of liberals. But I mean,
what sort of,
it's like, I don't understand. Like, there was a time when the Republican Party in the 80s definitely acknowledged greenhouse effect and climate change. Everyone thought it was an issue until I guess the Koch brothers threw a bunch of money at the Republican Party because they have so much interest in oil that they just changed the entire Republican platform to deny climate change. But because originally everyone knew it was something that was coming.
Right.
And then it became political. And I mean, like, like the way that everyone got together on the tobacco industry, first Republicans were sort of, because they own, like they were lobbyists for coming from the cigarette companies. Eventually though, everyone got together on that and it was bipartisan. And everyone was saying like cigarettes suck. And there's a big push to stop people from smoking, and it's largely worked. I mean, but this climate change, there's the oil interests didn't want people to start regulating that stuff, so they don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't know, and it's not interesting because let's say it's 1900, and I discover oil as a new form of energy, right? And could you imagine, like, I bring this to somebody and then the coal industry tries to shut me down and says like, no, that's we don't want that. Of course they did, and we grabbed it. So now today there's new energy, there's new kinds of energy we can use, but literally there's an entire party saying, no, we don't want to use that. We want to stay with oil. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to upgrade energy? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, just, like how we get energy. Why wouldn't you want to upgrade that? Why wouldn't you want to be involved with the new technology? I mean, it's obvious. Anything new is a moneymaker. Why wouldn't they? It doesn't make sense, except that, those oil companies are going to lose a lot of money, and it's a very large business.
Yeah, and I think they're all buddies with each other. I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, well, they keeping each other rich as fuck.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. But I mean, so now you're like people will say, well, this is all anecdotal and, Florida's not really going underwater. It would have anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. And California's not really on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was always on fire.
No, it was not, dude. I was living out there and talking to locals and they're just like, 15 years ago, there wasn't a fire season and now there's a fire fucking season. You can't.
I mean, we had, in the 90s, like, I lived in LA. I lived in LA for years. So yeah, there was that big earthquake in 94. Every other year there was a big fire.
Right.
Every 3 years. There was I remember there were two big fires between when River Phoenix died, before and after. So there was this whole folklore saying Phoenix will rise from the ashes.
Oh, wow.
It was a really huge fire where Sean Penn lost his house and he was living on he bought a trailer and parked in the middle of his land in Miami, in Malibu. But it got worse. I mean, I progressively watched it get worse, and I saw that, and all of a sudden there was a fire season. It wasn't always like that. Like, it was just occasional fires. And it's not because they're not raking the ground, whatever the fuck, they're saying, they need to rake the ground.
It's just, extreme heat, extreme drought. That's the thing that freaked me out, because I'm from the Great Lakes, Michigan. There's like a bunch of fresh water, and when COVID hit, I'm like, we need to go back to Michigan where there's fresh water, because if this turns into like a Mad Max scenario, everyone's gonna be murdering people for water.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be out in LA for that.
Yeah, but luckily that didn't actually happen. Everyone just got real bored and stayed inside. So
yeah, no, it was yeah, it was Apocalypse Light.
Diet Right, Apocalypse Light. Yeah, because I remember I was on tour. I was in like Santa Rosa when they canceled the NBA, and I was on tour with my other band. We were on tour opening for this band Guttermouth, and I just remember, like, they fucking canceled the NBA. I'm like, it's the end of the world. Like, you can't, like, dude, they canceled the NBA.
That's when you knew it was serious.
And they closed Disneyland, and so I was like, if they're getting rid of all these giant money makers, then this has to be real,
Yeah. I mean, even people who are denying it, who are saying that it was some kind of plot to end business. Really? People didn't want to make money anymore, so they went along with it. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, even if this was even if you were a communist country, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It's not good business.
No, I mean, like, even communists want to make money. You know
right.
what I mean? In the end, so I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
So, what year did you go out to LA, and how long were you out there for?
I went out in 1990. 1990. I was like young kid. I was working for a producer, pretty big producer who was really like abusive. Dan Melnick. His name was Dan Melnick. It was a crazy situation. I worked for him for 2 years, and then I directed when I was 22, I was hired to direct a sequel to a series called Witchcraft. It's called Witchcraft 4. It's horrible, horrible, far worse than any movie. Far worse than the SLC Punk movies.
Right.
I mean, just really just horrible. And I had 10 days, 7 days to prepare. They paid me $1,000, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I was 22, and it's sort of a TNA movie. And I was I was almost like too young to be on that set. So I was really uncomfortable with it, because this actress, Julie Strain, she wouldn't put her top back on. Like, she just, to where the grips were saying to me, James, could you ask her to put her top on? It's making me uncomfortable. I mean, like, Julie, we're not rolling for another hour. You can put your top on. She's like, no, this is fine. So I mean, it was. But anyway, I mean, I'm glad I did it. And they are cult movies, all of them. So I don't know. It's just anyway. So and I'd stayed in LA until about 12 years ago.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I definitely saw that movie on your IMDb.
Yeah,
I was peeping, but yeah. So how did you go from that to, like, was it 97 when you started shooting SLC Punk?
Yeah, I mean, every year I made another movie. Okay, so I made that Witchcraft 4. Then I got hired to do another B movie, and then I wrote this sort of, I don't know if you ever heard of The Tenant or Rosemary's Baby. I wrote sort of a hyper paranoid movie that's more of like my sense of humor. It's a horror movie, but it's a dark comedy where this guy thinks his upstairs neighbor is trying to put a curse on him. Okay. And worships Satan, right? And so he's really convinced of this, and we're not sure if it's true or not, but it's a comedy, and I made it for really cheap. And that movie went to a lot of festivals, and so then it got me my next one, which is a similar movie with Heather Graham. It was a similar style of movie where she's getting beat up by the stalker, and these are very weird movies.
Yeah.
And then I got hired to do this action movie. They asked me to write it and direct it. It was called Livers Ain't Cheap. And then they changed it to, I don't know, The Real Thing. But I was like, whatever you guys want to do, whatever. But I wrote it. It was sort of this heist movie with James Russo and Rod Steiger and Jeremy Piven. And so I did this thing where I actually had a budget so I could blow stuff up. That was kind of fun.
Nice.
And like have like lots of gunshots and blood and, like people shooting each other, all action style,
Hell yeah.
Like lots of coverage and slow-mo and everything. So then after that, so then I did one other movie with Michael Imperioli. And then okay, so that's the story. So I was, I'd made this movie with Michael Imperioli and I didn't write it. We made it in LA and this is 96, I think. So yeah. And then he wanted me to come onto this movie he was doing called Anarchy in NYC that he had written with a friend of his. And so I came out to New York and I met Spike Lee was producing it. I met with everybody and I was going to do it. But then there was a miscommunication when I went back to LA with my manager who basically told them that you can't talk to James. You can only talk to me. I was unaware that this happened.
Oh, no.
They got mad. And I was like, I really liked Michael Imperioli. We were good friends.
Yeah.
So they ended up going a different way. And they said, like, well, we're going to still make that movie. So then I sat down and I said, look, I still want to make a movie about punk. Like this movie, this story about in New York, Anarchy in NYC took place in the late 70s, where like it's about CBGBs and people from the Bronx and Queens and Brooklyn who were cutting their hair because of Sam, the son of Sam.
Right.
So that kind of he was insinuating that that's sort of why some of the people in the neighborhood became punks. And I really liked the idea, and so then I was really upset that I couldn't do it. So I ended up writing this in 3 days, this movie about, I said, oh, well, I'll do something in Salt Lake instead. And so I wrote that and then I made SLC Punk. And then Spike Lee went on and made that movie into Summer of Sam.
Ah, okay.
So he decided that he would direct it. And so they had cut out a lot of the punk stuff, but I think that's still in there. I don't know. I don't.
That's with John Leguizamo, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I never saw that, but I definitely want to check it out now. I'm going to check out some of your earlier stuff now, too. I'm excited about and check out Witchcraft 4.
Yeah. Witchcraft 4. Good movie.
So you wrote the script in 3 days?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I did it. Yeah, can't you tell?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't make movies. I just watch them.
No. So yeah. No. I mean, but then I had to do. I had to get the money. We needed to put. The Germans were financing the movie, and they suggested if I put this guy Till Schweiger in the movie, they would be able to give me the money to make the movie for just their territory.
Okay.
So, and I said, "Wow, okay." And because Till Schweiger was this big actor in Germany, like really famous in Germany. So I wrote him in based on some guy I knew. He plays Mark in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's how I got so that was added later, all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
And while I was doing that, then I tagged on the whole thing. I think a producer asked me, why don't you show the very end how these kids started? So then I added that D&D scene.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot. It reminds me.
And then Durwood was helping. Durwood from he was originally in Generation X. He was a guitar player for Generation X.
Okay.
He was out. He was helping a little bit with some of the music and stuff. So that's when I put that song from Generation X in the movie. After talking to Durwood about it. So.
Yeah, I just like when Young Bob is, because I was talking, there's these guys I met on TikTok that they have like 140,000 followers on TikTok, but they do like punk rock TikTok. And I had them on my podcast, and we were just talking about the scene where Young Bob is like, it's new, and that excitement. And when I was in my early 20s, like SLC Punk would, like, our roommates and I, like, we just wore that fucking movie out. It was like we put it on before shows. It was like it really excited us because it felt like we were watching kind of us in a way, even though it wasn't the 80s, it was the early 2000s.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm surprised that I was surprised that I didn't make the movie. I didn't think that any punk would like that movie.
Okay.
Because I mean, typically, from my experience, punks don't just like stuff.
Yeah.
Of course. Particularly if you're talking about them. It takes a long time for them to, I mean, even Suburbia, when it first came out, people thought, this movie sucks. This isn't about us. It took a while for punks to eventually say that's the best punk rock movie ever.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how they felt about Repo Man, but I think there was also a lot of criticism about that in the punk scene because they didn't like Emilio Estevez. Now, of course, it's like the ultimate, like it's a great movie. Punks like the movie.
Yeah.
So I made SLC Punk. I was thinking this would be, I kept making these movies. I kept taking them to the market. I kept taking them to festivals. And I said, well, I'm going to make this one. And this will be one that nobody's going to see because everyone kept criticizing me for making genre movies, even though they were artsy. They were going to the festivals, but they had like a genre bent.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'll make one that has no genre, just like about, this was really for like people older than me. And also the industry kept portraying punks as guys, like when they were no longer allowed to use Black Americans to show them as being like the people who rape women in subways, because that was just like fucked up. And, they started replacing them with punks. They're the ones with the switchblade knives going like, hey, man.
Like RoboCop.
Get out of here. I'm going to cut you up. Yeah, RoboCop.
Yeah. There's a million movies where it's
Terminator.
Right, exactly.
Where Paxton is a punker with blue hair. So I was like, that's not right either. I mean, that's not an appropriate description of like what punks are. To me, like punks are a bunch of nerds at the time who it was all sort of ironic. Like we were just making, it was funny. Reagan Youth, even in the beginning, like that was all funny. They weren't like legitimately for Reagan.
Nope.
And the song "Kill the Poor" is an ironic song. So
of course,
it was more sort of like insult humor and just being like, accepting anyone could go to a punk show. It was no big deal. Like as long as you didn't like, like as long as you weren't a Nazi, like you're fine. And so I thought I would like make a movie saying, I've seen enough of the hippie movies and the baby boomer movies. Literally, when I showed it at Cannes, I said, there was this period of time and the 60s is very important. You guys stopped the Vietnam War. Lots of music came out. It was a big movement for the baby boomers. It was really a very special time. And this movie is not about that. This is about my time. This is about like Gen X. This is about punk rock. Fuck you. And we rolled the film. And the audience, they were all older executives and they liked the movie and they ended up buying it. So that was who I was talking to. I was trying to explain to them what this whole punk thing was because they were still all the hippies. So, and then I don't know, like years later, and it initially came out and no, like the punks were like, what the fuck is this? But then a whole other generation came up and said like, well, I'm in high school and I kind of understand like what's going on here. And then unexpectedly a whole like people started relating to the movie. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, I graduated high school in 1999. So I remember it was 2000. We had our first house with all of our friends and we were drinking and having backyard wrestling. And we just watched that movie and we definitely connected with the characters.
The movie came out in 99. So in May of 99. So yeah.
Yeah, we had it on VHS. I still have that VHS copy of it, actually.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, we wore that shit out, but yeah, I just remember. So that's funny. Mark, we need more men like you in America. That dude was in the with because you were getting some German backing for the film.
Yeah, the guy that says this one is a real bet.
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
With the big old pistol he pulls.
Yeah, you want to be a cowboy? I show you a cowboy. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, because that guy does have
a movie on there. I made another movie with him. I made it right after that. I made a comedy with Alan Arkin and him and what's her name? I'm forgetting people's names. We made it's called Magicians, and the Germans had a deal with me saying if we give you the money for this, they make a whole movie with Till. And Till said okay, and so we made a whole movie starring Till Schweiger playing like a Siegfried kind of guy.
Okay.
Called Magicians. It's a comedy. It's a pretty broad comedy.
I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna be watching lots of your shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you give me your email address, you have your email address, so I'll just send you links. So
awesome.
You don't have to pay for it.
Thank you. Yeah, because I definitely bought SLC Punk 1 and 2 on Amazon because I do not have a VHS player.
Oh, I could have literally. I have it uploaded onto Vimeo, but private, so I sometimes I just send it to people.
Convenience is king, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I'm going to talk to James. I want to make sure that I do my homework a little bit. Although, I want to check out your other movies too. But definitely, yeah, SLC Punk. And I just watched the second one. And you worked with Colson Baker, a.k.a. Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Now, this was probably early in his acting career because he's a big Hollywood dude now, right?
Yeah, that was one of his first, I think. Maybe his second or third role. I don't know. He was fun to work with. And now when I interviewed him, I didn't know who he was.
Right.
I guess he was very popular as a performer.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's a Cleveland guy.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was. And, so we Skyped in the initial interview, and I was just asking, he was talking about how he had moved all over the world. He grew up all over even in Libya and shit. He moved around a lot.
Oh, wow.
But he's mostly from Cincinnati or
Cleveland,
Ohio. Cleveland, right.
Cleveland.
And he said he was in a punk band when he was a teenager, and he was really into punk rock, and he loved SLC Punk and on and on. So I thought, this guy would be great. And also, because he has energy, and, and then the casting director was like, also he has lots of fans on Twitter. So, and I didn't even know that that's a thing, but I guess
right.
At that time, I know now, but at the time I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, what, names, like people who have lots of Twitter fans, they tweet out the movie and more people watch the movie. I was like, oh, so that's a thing now. Okay. So he came to do the movie, and he couldn't quite do the full mohawk, which I kind of was bummed about, but, he was cool. Now I guess he's decided that he's he does pop punk. Now that's his thing, right? He changed his style.
Dude, he won a Grammy for Best Rock Album, and people lost their fucking mind, on social media.
They were mad?
Yeah, they were mad as fuck because he was a hip hop artist, and he hooked up with Travis Barker, the Blink-182 guy.
Yeah,
and kind of switch genres, right? And then
I don't understand. So what?
Exactly.
I know that's really dangerous. But so I don't understand. I mean, so sometimes I'll comment on other places on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right, because they just made the app new.
Yep.
So before it was just I could, if I went to my page, I can only see my page.
Yeah.
But now it's like my actual private page. My public page is almost like my private page. So I see a feed. So now I just comment, and I have that blue chip that I don't know how I got that, but I have a little blue chip there.
Yeah.
So on my public page, so I comment on New York Times stories or wherever, or even on your page, and every once in a while, it happens a lot. They'll be like, oh, I know who this guy is. So they'll be like, why'd you hire MGK? They'll fucking give me shit about hiring MGK and shit. And I'm like, I can't, can I please shit post in peace? Without being personally attacked,
well, that's the thing is your Facebook is connected to you, the human being. And there's a little anonymity in the Reagan Youth thing. We could go talk shit on Loudwire. We could talk shit on the Dead Kennedys page. We could talk shit anywhere. And they don't know who's posting it because there's 3 people that post. It's myself, Paul, who's the original guitar player of Reagan Youth. And then his girlfriend, Beatrice, helps run the socials. So there's a team of 3 of us, and nobody knows who's posting what, but you can get pretty inflammatory with this new the way Facebook is set up. You can go on Courtney Love's page and talk shit and
I see. That's the thing. I didn't even. It was sort of I just started commenting on stuff because that's what I do, right. and like anyone does. And then some people accuse me of trying to stay relevant because I'm commenting and I'm looking for attention. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Everyone on Facebook, that's what you do. You post shit to get it like likes, right? So I mean, I didn't understand that. And then so recently I've been getting dragged for making jokes. Like somebody said, there was a virus 20,000 years ago, and I made a joke. It was an article saying there was a pandemic 20,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I said, bullshit. The universe is only, the planet's only 10,000 years old. It was a joke.
Right. And
I mean, like, there were people coming out in Holland and shit saying, like, where's your brain, you stupid fuck? How stupid can you be? The planet's 4 billion years old, blah, blah, blah. And so everyone's like, and that happens once in a while when obviously making a joke and they're like, they don't get it. So, so then I'll take one of the meaner ones or the ones I think are funny. And I'll put them on a inspirational picture as a quote. And, like it looks like, a quote saying, life is better if you blah, 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 whatever. Dream of streams that pass through life and you will find, your way to the end, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I just take their exact quote saying, you're a dumb fuck. Why do you say this stupid shit? Get a life. You need to use your brain. And I'll make that into a inspirational quote.
Oh yeah. I've been noticing. And what's funny too about that is, it almost pisses people off more because instead of you like clapping back and being very defensive, you just embrace it and you're like, we started doing that when my other band works with the Insane Clown Posse. They have us like open up. My other band's this weird funk thing, and
you guys are opening for them, okay?
Yeah, so like you can only imagine like opening for Kiss or opening for Maiden. What the fans they're like, you're the only thing standing in between us and the thing we like the most. So they hated it, and so they're chanting "fuck this shit," and we chant right along with them, "fuck this shit," and they don't know what to do. It kind of confuses them.
Yeah, that's. I learned that from years of criticism of movies. I just agree.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. My brain sucks. I mean, like, it's because like to argue is just what are we doing to argue with?
There's no point. Yeah,
no. And then every once in a while, someone will come on my page and they'll start shit. And I really like to keep the page, my page, like everyone's sort of having fun and neutral. But every once in a while, someone will come on and say, I don't know, some guy came over from your page because I'd commented on your page. No, I think it was one of their pages anyway about racism, and some guy was Juneteenth, and someone said like, I'm just glad that shit's over. I'm so mad. They're so mad about Juneteenth. So I just put a laugh emoji. I just laughed at reaction at it, and he noticed it. So he came onto my page. And they're saying like, I'm your worst nightmare. I am Legion. I am going to, this long ass diatribe of how like us punks are not the real punks, and there's nothing I can do about it because I'm his worst nightmare. I am everything. I'm everything. He says you are everything. I am everything you are afraid of and hate, and I will always be here. And what are you going to do about it? And I said, I'm going to screen cap this and post it. And then have other people respond to your fucking diatribe.
That's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, he ended up blocking me and
of course
taking off, he's gone. Like he was like threatening that he was going to just keep tagging me and harassing my page, and so and what was I going to do about it? And of course I could just block him, but like I said, no, I'm going to give you a voice, man.
It's more fun kind of putting a magnifying glass on it.
Well, I mean, he really tried to sound like the Joker, so dude, I'll let you do that. That's great content. Thank you.
Absolutely. Dude, our page, ever since we started really showcasing how ridiculous some of these people are, our Instagram is blowing the fuck up. It's crazy. We're like, it's I noticed on your page sometimes when people come on there, I can't believe some of the guys that come on, some of the things they say. I mean, like, I just can't. I mean, they're getting mad if you say racism sucks. Like, they're mad at you for saying, oh, you're so woke. First off, woke is like, I live in Harlem. That's an expression that's out in the streets. That's a black people. Yeah, it was co-opted for sure.
It sounds corny when like a white guy says it, but
absolutely.
So I'm just like, it's like saying, dog, what time? You know what time it is? I'm just like, don't do that. Don't, that's embarrassing. So he says, you guys are all woke and stupid and dumb, or whatever he said. And I'm like, all this guy is saying, all you said was, oh, and you're into Antifa and BLM and all those other commie fascists. And that's when I think I posted that thing about, good guy Antifa harassing Nazis, and it's D-Day. But it's like,
perfect.
because I don't understand, like why would you get mad? But so you don't think racism sucks? That's your thing. That's what is that your response? Like, that is a low hanging fruit, no brainer. Racism.
yeah.
And it's now like the reactionary, like, it's just like, wow. Like, you literally, like, that bothers. That's why the Juneteenth thing, like, that bothers you, that there's a holiday that celebrates the end of slavery.
Yeah.
Like, the one good thing, like, it's a good thing that we did as a nation. We freed slaves, right? We turned our back on that bullshit, and like we fought a war over it, and then eventually we came back together, and we celebrate that, right? It's not just a black holiday; it's the holiday for everyone. Like, it's when the country realized this is a sin. What we're doing, like, this is like, we are barbarians, right? And we stopped and we evolved, and people are like, oh, I'm not going to celebrate that. You woke, fuck you, woker. And I'm like, do you want slavery back? Is that what you're saying? Like, you think that was a bad thing?
All we posted is, it just said racism should be dead. Punk.
I think it was like something like, punk's not dead, but racism should be.
Exactly. And people are like, Robble, you're just trying to be relevant. What? Be relevant by being anti-racist? Like,
yeah, everyone's trying to be relevant. I don't know what that means, but everyone like wants to be. That's just sort of that is like the bare minimum expression, you're called Marxist for saying that. Yeah. And you're literally just saying, like, I think even fucking, like, I will bet you that Robert E. Lee would say the same thing. I would bet you guys from the Confederacy would say racism is bad. It's like, it's such an easy thing they would say, oh, I'm not racist, I like my slaves. It's such like a no, like, brainer. Like, yeah, racism should be dead.
It's absolutely mind-blowing to be in an anti-fascist music group and have people be like, I bet y'all side with Antifa. It's like, actually, yeah. Did you listen to the lyrics? Like, come on.
I just don't know. I also don't understand this idea that it's an organization. It's just like, it's just Antifa. Just, there's no, like, head of Antifa or anything. I don't like, they keep thinking it's that boogeyman is hysterical. Because they're also scared to, like, on the one hand, they'll propose that Antifa are these, like, really scary, they're going to fucking burn your homes and they're going to take your wives. And then on the other hand, they kind of call them soy boys who are baristas and whatever, which is probably more of the case. So I'm not, like, sure, it's the same way they call about, like, lefties are pussies, but also to be feared. So which is it?
Yeah, exactly. Which one is it? Are we soy boys or are we fucking terrorists with Molotov cocktails?
Exactly. Are you afraid of Antifa or are they pussies? It can't be both. I don't think anyone would say, well, ISIS were pussies. ISIS were fucking scary, fucked up terrorists. I don't know if you call them, like, oh yeah, they're no problem. So I don't understand, like, it's on the one hand, those guys are scary. On the other hand, they're just a bunch of, like, soy boy white knights who just, are woke, quote unquote. I don't know. I personally don't go out as an Antifa guy and get into, I don't protest.
I got a bad back, so I don't fight cops.
Yeah, I'll try to make movies and make my observations and put them in there. But I just think it's funny, and like the whole Proud Boy movement was started, and they call themselves the real punk rockers. I remember, like, Proud Boys were saying that. I'm like, bullshit. Okay, fine. You guys, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, call yourself. Anyone calls themselves a punk. You go to prison, punk means something different. So anyone can be a punk.
Right.
But like, when Proud Boys are, like, bootlicking, like, talking about, like, we're going to back up the cops. I'm thinking like, what?
That's pretty punk rock.
Punk rock, man.
That's pretty punk.
We back to blue, motherfuckers, man. I'm a punk rocker. Back to blue. I'm like, what? I don't understand. And yeah, I recognize and acknowledge that some punks became police officers. But, if you watch that movie Clockwork Orange, his friends, those droogs, whatever, they became cops too.
Yeah.
That was the obvious thing for them to do. I'm just like, what? I like, you guys, that's not, when they're saying, on the one hand, they're saying like, well, you guys, if you guys, you like the administration. I don't know anyone that you guys ever said we love Joe Biden, but
never, not once, not once.
Just voted for something different. That whatever to calm shit down. But so they'll say that you're conformists and whatever. But on the other hand, if you're conforming to Republican and you back the blue and all that shit, and you worship Donald Trump, man, that's beyond conformist. That you're in a cult. Yeah. So I don't know what the hell like that. These are, again, these are my opinions, but I literally have a scene in SLC Punk where they fight the cops. Yeah. It's not like when Proud Boys say we're the real punks, and when you get people on your page saying, oh, bullshit, man, we back the cop, we back the blue, fuck Antifa. And you're like going, but why are you saying, okay, you can say you're a punk, but why are you saying that Reagan Youth doesn't have a punk mentality? Because they don't back the blue. And that they think that, police brutality is fucked up. How is that? How are you justifying that? How are you gatekeeping that punk thing? I don't know. None of that makes sense to me.
It's mind blowing. It's absolutely makes my head explode on a daily basis. And even making fun of these people, it wears on my mental health. I have to take breaks from the internet because I just can't wrap my head around this shit. It's just too much, and I sometimes just need to go to sleep. So
yeah, it's weird. I think I reconcile that they think it's anti-establishment. I just don't understand how anti-establishment is embracing
the establishment.
Yeah. George Carlin said never fucking tell a cop anything ever. And then but they all think that George Carlin was always talking to them.
It's funny too because in some of these people were quoting Carlin in some of these attempts to.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
and it's funny because Carlin would not. Carlin hated cops. He didn't. I think the only. if he were alive, I think I saw him a lot. I met him a bunch of times. I think the one thing he might have liked was that society is collapsing. Because he liked that.
Yeah.
That's nature doing its thing. So he once went on a whole long thing that he's saying that people don't trust the water. He says because they drink bottled water. He says when people don't trust their water supply, it makes them happy because things are falling apart. So he might have liked Trump and all that stuff because it was just sort of the idea of all of it and the pandemic because just everything is just deteriorating. It's falling. It's collapsing. But I don't think that a lot of people just don't understand him at all. Because he wasn't. I think people are conflating PC with, anti. If you're not PC, you like Trump. I don't understand. Republicans aren't PC. I think they're equating that shit together too much.
Yeah.
Because I'm no fucking Republican. Definitely not. But I'm not PC either.
Right.
So I don't know that that's definitely a direct connection. I can understand it. There's a reaction to where people are maybe, and at the same time, I don't think it's PC to say, to use somebody's pronoun if that's what they want. It's just manners.
Exactly.
So, because they'll say that well, James, why do you, if somebody says to me that I prefer to be called they or X or whatever, or them, when I'm referring, as a pronoun, I don't give a fuck. I'm perfectly happy saying, adapting to that. It's it doesn't, I don't think it's PC or not PC. Again, it's just manners. I have no passion about it. It's just, I don't know. It's so a lot of their causes are stupid. I don't get it.
And it's not so black and white. It's definitely gray. Just because you support trans people doesn't mean that you're I'm all about Daddy Joe Biden sucking Joe Biden's.
I don't even know what that. I don't even know. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand. I don't. Again, I don't see it would make, if you knew me or if you watched a movie, the movie that I make says, well, I will accept anyone, right? Like for the most part, obviously you accept Nazis and Proud Boys, but I mean, for the most part, you know, if you're not a dick, I accept you. So,
right.
So if that's what my philosophy is, why would it be surprising that I would not have any issue with a trans person and talking about them in the gender that they want me to refer to them as? Because, I mean, why would that, how does that contradict anything I've ever been ever? And Reagan Youth for that matter. I mean, they've always been that way. So why would it be a contradiction for them to say, you know, to be like, yeah, I'm okay with trans women being women. Like, why would that be an issue?
Because it's just not punk, brother.
Yeah, well, it's not punk rock.
It's just not punk. Yeah, like it's funny that people think Gigi Allen was like the epitome of punk rock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those people are on our page, dude.
Gigi Allen.
Yay.
Oh my god. Okay, I mean, I know I had my sister. She was in goth bands in the 90s. She once had to go. CBGB's had to go on after Gigi Allen.
Oh God.
Singing into the same microphone.
Oh no.
She was like, that was the most disgusting thing. Just she could just smell his breath on the mic. You know how like multiple singers use a microphone?
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm sure you know.
It's nasty. I bring my own, dude.
Yeah, I mean, normally she would, but at that time CBGB didn't have their way. Everyone used the same mic.
Right.
I guess the connection, you can bring your own mic. Maybe it looked stupid. I don't know.
It's just years of touring and being sick all the time just made me be like, I'm literally sucking other people's spit into my esophagus. So
yeah, I don't know how you'd go on and use anybody, but no matter what club you went to, no matter, you know what I mean? Like no matter how, like, cause you know how some clubs have their sound system and then you have other places you bring your own.
Yep.
Irrelevant. Like it's like your mic as a singer should be like a guitar. You're not going to use the house guitar. You're not going to use the house mic, you know, like, cause that's going to be pretty disgusting.
Unless you just don't give a fuck. And there were definitely years where I was drinking a lot and I would deep throat the microphone while my band was playing. Cause I was just like, you know, I'm just fucking don't give a shit about anything. I don't care if I'm alive or dead. So,
wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's dangerous.
Yeah. That was me for a minute. I haven't had booze since 2008. I used to be a big fat drunk guy. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, I stopped drinking a while ago. Except La Croix. So
oh yeah, fancy soda.
It's bubbly water. So what else?
I don't know, man. I really enjoy this. I really appreciate you being on here. So we can continue talking or we can cut it. It's like we're at an hour 13, so you know, I assume you're a busy man. I'm just hanging out.
Oh, when are you guys playing again?
Reagan Youth. We're currently working on new music. I played like since everything opened up. I got this other band, and we're like,
yeah. I mean, I know that you're a band that plays with Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah. We're really busy. We got a lot of shit going on in the Midwest, East Coast. I'm going out to LA, and I'm doing a couple gigs. We're actually doing Green Jello. Bill from Green Jello. We're doing his live stream, so that's fun. We're like a weird band. We're kind of like in the vein of like Mr. Bungle, like genre hopping.
You said you're funk, right?
Yeah, funk, punk, metal.
So because that was early. That reminds me of early Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, we're like
album.
Yeah, we're like that, except with like heavy metal riffs and a lot of like pop culture references and just a different style of singing and whatnot. But definitely influenced by early Chili Peppers, like that punk funk thing. Yeah,
I liked that period of Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah,
when Flea was really just doing the bass lines and it was all funk.
Yeah, definitely a big influence on me when I was in high school. I got really into old Chili's and it's weird because we ended up being managed by the bass player of Fishbone, a guy named Norwood, who that's the whole reason I was out in LA is because he was managing my band. And
Fishbone is awesome.
Oh, they're the best.
I was on an airplane with them once, and then I saw them. Like their show is. I saw them in the late '80s.
Oh yeah,
their show is unbelievable. I mean, like it was all choreographed really well. And I mean, they just like, and like, they're just really talented.
Oh man.
There's one point where like the trombone is like slides across the floor and what's his name puts the microphone down. So they hit at the same time when they're doing Party at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
I mean, they are fucking, I mean, I think that those a couple of American second wave ska bands that have just not gotten their due.
That's Fishbone.
Untouchables and
Yep.
Fishbone.
Yeah, we played with the Untouchables a handful of times out in LA too. But man,
awesome bands. And second wave, they're second wave like the Specials and all those guys.
Yeah.
Only they were American, so they didn't really get the kind of play that all the two-tone bands got. And then because the third wave is like what Rancid and bands like that.
Yeah, like Sublime, No Doubt, and Rancid, and then like Real Big Fish, Mighty Boss Tones. Yep,
Yeah.
Late '90s stuff. But yeah, Fishbone started in '78. They essentially were Norwood when he started the band. It just was a bunch of high school friends, and I think they actually started when they were in fucking middle school, and they all like met on the bus at school.
They were in like didn't he say that they were in band together? Like they were that's how they met, in band, like in a high school band, like in the band, like in the.
I don't think so.
Band.
In the documentary, I think they just met at school, like because I don't think they were actually in marching band. I'm pretty sure they weren't, but I don't know 1,000%. I've had Norwood on this podcast before. I could ask him when I see him.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm wondering how bass one. I'm just wondering how the guys in the horns how they decided to learn those instruments so well.
They just would fucking jam together, and when they were like really young, and they just got progressively better and better. And by the time they were fucking 17 years old, I think they were signed to Columbia.
Yeah,
and it was just off to the races after that. And then they did an album with David Kahn, who produced like Paul McCartney and shit.
Yeah,
and then Truth and Soul and like all those classic albums. But yeah, they definitely watched like a band like the Chili Peppers rocket to superstardom while they just were kind of, like that band, like Fishbone's the most amazing live show I've ever seen, but also a band that eclectic can confuse people because everyone wants, as like an artist, people want things in a box.
Yeah.
But people,
I was thinking like right before the pandemic, I have a friend that works at the community college here in Harlem. And I was like, we were talking about, and I wanted to pick it up again, like to sponsor or to put together from those, all the kids from the neighborhood that go to that school. Because they go to the music school up there, and to put them get them together and start a ska band, and grab some of those old, old Jamaican ska stuff and sort of update it and let bring a new sound into it, for like a Harlem sound. I think it'd be interesting to do that. I mean, I had already gotten a few guys together, but I mean, I think they bring. I mean, I think it'd be interesting.
Absolutely. I know that Norwood and Flea, they have a music conservatory in Watts. And they're doing a similar thing. It's like they're exposing children to musical instruments and stuff that they necessarily wouldn't have the ability to do. And so they're doing this cool thing where they're like, these young kids are like forming bands and stuff in Watts, and Norwood and Flea are kind of at the helm of that. It's called the Watts Music Conservatory, I believe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so when you said that, I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of what they're doing out west. Like it definitely, you should do it, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to I was talking to the guys out here are like Wu-Tang Clan and those guys.
Yeah.
So maybe they just get together with them and sort of. I mean, I don't know I think they would probably want to insert some rap into it, which I think would be fine.
Oh yeah,
as a sound to mix, really good fast ska with the horns and then go into a rap, whatever. I mean, to go into like a hip hop. I don't know I think that fusing those would be fine. I don't think that'd be a problem.
Dude, I would want to fucking hear that. Like I'd be excited about that kind of sound. Like, like Harlem ska hip hop, dude. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't exist. And, but I don't, as a front guy, I'm a little pale. I don't know how much they'd accept that, right. I mean, except in like a sort of Rick Rubin kind of way, but,
you need a longer beard.
Yeah. That guy, man. But, and Rick. Yeah. But I mean, I do I have friends that know, I mean, I've known RZA, but Method Man is up here a lot. He's up in Harlem a lot. But they're all from Staten Island. But those guys are up here. Also, there's some other bands up here that I think they would go for. I mean, I want to talk to them about it more, but I think that it'd be interesting.
I'd love to see something like that. So yeah, if you make that happen, definitely toss me a link, dude.
Yeah,
I want to check it out. My girlfriend actually was living in Washington Heights, and she was working in Times Square at a place called Birdland, the jazz club, for a year. And we were doing like a long distance thing, but I got to visit a lot, and it's a cool neighborhood. Did you grow up in Staten Island, or were you?
No, I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's a dumb question.
I was originally from New Jersey,
right?
And then my dad's an orthopedic surgeon, so we moved to Utah because of the ski resorts. He opened clinics at the ski resorts.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up in Salt Lake. And then I went to Italy for some school, and then I went to moved to LA. So, and then I moved here. So I did say, I don't know, Staten Island. Ooh, no. Have you been to Staten Island? Have you been out there?
Never been. I just watched the Pete Davidson movie. That's like the extent of my knowledge on Staten Island.
It's a weird, it's a weird borough. It's not very populated. It's very right wing.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, I think the old name for it from the native tribes, the Native American tribes it meant dark wood.
Oh, okay.
And it's like it feels cursed out there. It's pretty weird out there. I'm making a movie called Arthur Kill Road, which is named after a road in it's called Arthur Kill Road that goes through Staten Island.
Sounds ominous.
Yeah, I mean, like it means Arthur Kill. Kill means water in Dutch. So it's I don't remember, but it's still I like it. Arthur Kill Road and Arthur Kill Park. And Arthur Kill Park is where they took and buried all of the remnants from the 9/11 collapse.
Oh, really? Ooh.
They pulled it over there and they buried it and made Arthur Kill Park. Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, right? So it's dark, man.
It's some poltergeist shit. Like, let's go hang out at the park that is all the remnants of the 9/11.
If you want to know about, I know these guys, they made a documentary called Cropsey.
Okay.
So watch the documentary Cropsey. It's easy to find.
How do you spell that?
With a K, K-R-O-P-S-Y, Cropsey.
K-R-O-P-S-Y. Okay.
And it's it's this, it's about this boogeyman called Cropsey that's in Staten Island. It was a Staten Island myth, but he turned out to be a real dude.
Oh, wow.
And they show the insane asylums out there because they kept all the old institutes, all the psychiatric institute, loosely call them psychiatric. They were insane asylums.
Right.
Where God, I can't find it. Just the conditions in this place. I remember now. It's C-R-O-P-S-E-Y.
C-R-O-P-S-E-Y. Cropsey.
Yeah, I mean it's great. Just what you'll see because they actually show old footage where Geraldo Rivera went into I think it was him went into these sort of underground. There's these tunnels where they kept all the people that were having mental divergent issues. Right. And it was just disgusting. And I mean, if that place isn't haunted, I'm not saying I believe in ghosts, but I'm talking about it's haunted with pain and suffering. Yeah. It's there. And it's all in this Cropsey film, all about Staten Island.
And it's a documentary, right?
It's a documentary. And it ultimately, it's kind of it's called documentary horror. Oh. So there's no reenactments. It's just a good documentary. And they go into the ruins of the psychiatric place. You see all the satanic, stuff everywhere. And it's pretty cool.
I'm gonna write it down right now. What's funny is that the small town in Michigan that I grew up in actually had insane asylums and tunnels as well. And we used to play soccer on these fields. And in the background of the fields were just all of these dilapidated buildings that used to be the insane asylum. And there's a series of tunnels. They made suburbs out of it. They like tore them all down and they're gone now. But like I remember, all the satanic writings and the tunnels, and we used to go fucking drink down there, and it's crazy. So I got to check it out.
That's what this documentary is like. That's what the kids would go there, and and it's that. And if you want to feel for how my point of view of Staten Island, that's here. I'll link you to the. Here, I just sent you the link.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I just wrote it down too. I'm really interested in that kind of stuff, especially just growing up. We would just hear about all the Satan worshipers in the tunnels, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's where even like they were saying, well, if you think about, now that guy, the son of Sam, I think it's Berkowitz, I forget his name.
Right.
They had a whole supposed satanic ring that they were all worshiping Satan up in Yonkers. I think it was Yonkers.
Yeah.
Where they'd go to this park, and there's a whole conspiracy theory about how he was involved with, the son of Sam was involved with a whole ring of international Satan worshipers. I think it all went into the satanic panic period of the late 80s.
Yeah. But
he was there's still an existing theory that he didn't kill all those people alone, that it's a group of people. In fact, on Netflix, I think there's now a series called the Sons of Sam.
Oh, I gotta watch that too.
Yeah, and it's a series, and it goes into this one guy who was really this reporter who just chased down this idea that this guy didn't do it alone. It's an international conspiracy of Satan worshipers that were behind the killings. And it's at a certain point he goes too far. He's too crazy, right? He gets into the Q area, but at a smaller level, you're like, you know what? I think he was fucking right. I don't think the guy was alone. And because there's this evidence that it's just you can't deny. And of these two brothers that he knew, and in fact, he named the reason why he said his dog Sam. In the letters, he said it was his daddy's dog Sam. So like the neighbor's dog was Sam. He thought that his neighbor's dog told him to go kill these people. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's the story behind son of Sam. But this guy uncovered that, he was friends with these two other guys, and they think that he was making snuff films for them, and that all these murders exist on film somewhere. Oh, no. And are sold like whatever was the equivalent of the dark web back then, on video, where, these guys he would video these, and then they would go and they'd shoot somebody in the head. And I don't know, like I just watched the series. I mean, like some of it sounds like bullshit because I don't know if he had a camera that could really light the area that well. I mean, with a Super 8, I mean, now you could, but back then you need a lot of light at night to see what's going on. But I don't know, it's pretty compelling, and they definitely were all into like worshiping Satan. It's pretty funny. Oh, I'm gonna check that out too. Yeah, you definitely need good lighting for your snuff film back then. Yeah, I mean, you just lots of light. You need to see the details. That's my recommendation as a filmmaker to anyone that's involved with porno or light and coverage. You need to flood the area with light and get a lot of angles. Yeah, and I definitely, because I make videos on YouTube and stuff. I'm definitely not a filmmaker, but I edit on Adobe Premiere, and I was like your style of editing. Did you edit SLC Punk, the first one? Well, I have an editor, but I mean, yeah, I sit with the editor and we talk about how cutting it. I really like during a lot of the monologues, the quick cuts where cuts. Yeah, that's an old French New Wave trick, and literally the reason why it even exists is because it was post-war France. They didn't have enough money for film, so they didn't do many angles. So they would just jump cut. They would just go, they would just cut to the parts that they wanted, and they didn't care about cutting to different angles. And so I just sort of did the same thing. I mean, I've been doing that for years. Just like, I'm really not really concerned about the continuity or the fluidity of, to get from this cut to this moment, I don't need an insert or another angle. I can just cut that piece between it and let it just jump to the next bit. And I see more and more filmmakers doing that now, but I used to do it all the time.
It's definitely a thing on YouTube. It's a big thing, that jump cut thing.
Yeah. I'm as good as a YouTube filmmaker.
Well, no, that's not what
I'm just kidding.
That's not what I'm saying. But yeah, I think it adds like an urgency to the dialogue, especially when watching the first SLC Punk, like when it's Matthew Lillard and he's just going off. It gives it this kind of like boom, 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 like punching you in the face kind of feel. And with his combined with his energy, I think it's really effective. Yeah.
I mean, he was he had a lot of energy, and you need to jump cut. Also, he's breaking the fourth wall, so I don't see any, like, there's no rules there.
Yeah.
Once he's talking to the camera, it's like you can do whatever you want. I mean, the quick cut. Yeah. I think I also was doing that a lot too, because previous to that, I used to do these really long tracking shots.
Yeah.
For these like really eerie moments. And at a certain point, somebody was saying, like, dude, why do you just cut? So a critic in Variety was saying, James Merendino needs to learn how to cut. So when I got to SLC Punk, I was like, okay, I'm going to cut.
I'm going to cut like a motherfucker.
I'm going to cut like Sam Peckinpah.
Nice.
And then people criticized me for cutting too much. So I realized, you know what? Don't listen to the critics.
You can't win, dude.
You cannot win at all. You have to make it for yourself.
Absolutely.
So last thing though, to plug, I mean, it's not really a plug, but first off, if you want the movie I think I liked best after SLC Punk was the movie I made called Americana.
Okay.
Which maybe I'll give you a link to it. It's a Dogma movie. So the Danes made these Danes like Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg, started a movement called Dogma 95. And they made these movies where you had these rules where you can't put down the camera, you can't use props, you can't use lights, everything has to be organic to.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Manifesto. There's a Dogma Manifesto.
Okay.
And then they recruited me to do one of those movies.
Oh, cool.
They had already done a movie called Celebration, which was a hugely revered movie. Then Lars did a movie called Idiotin, which is also won at the Cannes Film. And so then I did number 13. They're all numbered. So mine is Dogma 13 Americana. And it's with the guy that played Bob, Michael Gorgon, and Jimmy Duvall. And it's just it's a nice there's no frills. It's a really, because of the style, it's interesting to watch.
So Dogma 13, but it's called Americana?
It's called Americana, yeah.
Dude, I'm just taking notes now. This is fucking cool.
In fact, I have the certificate on the wall. That right there is, because they give you a certificate. They give you a certificate and they also help. They also finance it. But if you break the rules, they won't give you the certificate. It was all, to me, this all felt like a way to save money in the pocket money from your budget.
Yeah.
But they felt it was a way to prevent the filmmaker from using tricks to fool the proletariats and to making an emotional response to what you're doing. That's their pitch. That's their whatever, their dodge. But then their producer told me, well, James, no, that's just, they say that it's just a way so they can pocket the money from the budget. So, because you don't use any equipment except for a video camera.
Right.
And then you transfer it to film. If you can't put the camera down, then there's no tripod, there's no lights, there's no crew, there's no props. The actors have to own the props, so then you have to pay for that. So basically, I had $500,000 or whatever to make an $80,000 movie.
Wow.
So I just paid everybody a lot, like the 10 people that worked on it.
And also, what an honor for them to reach out to you and say, hey, do you want to be a part of this? Well,
what happened was Lars had seen SLC Punk, and they said, they brought me out to Copenhagen, and he has a Zentrop is the name of his company. They bought a military base.
Oh wow!
And they turned it into their own production studio. And he was driving around on a camouflage golf cart. And when I finally talked, it was Christmas, so they had me come for their Christmas party, and which they got really fucking drunk. I mean, really, I wasn't drinking. They got really drunk.
Yeah.
And then the after party, they had a live sex act.
Nice.
Right. And I'm just like, wow, they're crazy. Right. So, I mean, like just fucking crazy Vikings. And then at one point, Lars comes to me and he says, I'm very excited. I'm very happy. Not excited. He's never excited. He was happy to hear that I had accepted to make a Dogma movie. And I said, well, you do understand. I said, first off, and I said, why did you ask me? He says, because you're an anarchist, SLC Punk, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, no, I'm not an anarchist. I'm not. And I said, but if I were to be an anarchist, then that would mean that I'd have to break every single one of your rules.
Right.
Yeah. And he said, this is why I'm asking you to do a Dogma movie.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, you're like, if I was an anarchist, you couldn't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I mean, like you have rules, and you have your manifesto. I'm an anarchist. I can't. I mean, if that's true, then why would I submit to any of your rules? I do not submit to your authority.
Because you need to get that plaque on the wall, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, I ended up following the rules more than they did.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but their stuff is first off much darker. Really, really, like they make really dark. Those movies are pretty dark. Julian Donkey Boy is another one that's the only other American movie that they certified. That was Harmony Korine did it.
I gotta check that out. Okay.
Yeah, and that's dark, and I don't even know how it got a certificate. And then there's Americana, which is like just not dark at all. It's just this really nice comedy, you know. Yeah,
because you're not gonna make didn't Von Trier do Antichrist? Was that him?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, a lot of it, and most of it is done Dogma style. Okay, except for the very beginning. So like everything else is like handheld. But yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't occur to me to have a movie in which the hero cuts her clitoris off. I don't. It just doesn't occur to me. I mean, I can go dark. I can go pretty dark.
Right.
But that just doesn't occur to me. I mean, and if I were to do it, everyone would be like, "No, you're full of shit." Right. I mean, like that's not in my wheelhouse. I mean, usually my dark stuff is all about like thinking I'm going crazy. And, you know, like the end of a movie, like the guy takes his, like on a movie called Upstairs Neighbor, the end of the movie, the guy takes off all his clothes and runs and pours powder all over him because he thinks he's doing some kind of ritual to get rid of the Satan curse.
Yeah.
And he runs in the middle of the street and gets run over by a car and he's killed. I mean, that's my kind of dark. I'm not like, you know, I don't know. What does she do? She like takes a hammer and like hits his penis with it and shit.
You don't go full genital mutilation.
No, I'm just like that's just not my game. The movie I'm about to make in the fall is called Kill Floor. I was hired. It's a British company, British filmmakers, producers, and writer. They asked me to come. I joined this movie to direct it, and it's a vegan horror movie.
Oh, nice.
Set on a I'm not a vegan, like that, but it's basically like it's set on a pig farm that really shows how like horrible the conditions are on a pig farm.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah, and it's these animal rights activists go up to the pig farm to try to videotape to reveal the horrors of this pig farm, and then of course they become the victims of the farm. I mean, like they're going to, skinned or whatever, all the fucking crazy shit they do to pigs, they do to these vegans.
That sounds fucking cool. When do you start production on that?
We're casting right now. I shoot in the fall.
That sounds cool.
And we're looking like, we're thinking either shooting upstate or Michigan. We were going to shoot in Georgia. We decided not to do that. So we're going to Michigan's really good to shoot in because they have a really good tax incentive.
Yes, we do. At least we did.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still there. So, I mean, I'm not sure where we're shooting yet. We were going to shoot in Georgia, but I said like, I'm not going to go down there. So I don't know. We'll see. So that's my next project. So that's it's like, I don't know if you saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Of course.
It's a little bit like that. I mean, the guy that wrote it is influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but
who isn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's really much more violent. And much more bloody. And I don't know, like, I'm not trying to, I said like, listen, man, I don't make soapbox movies, but I will definitely make a movie that will show a pig farm and how fucking gross it is. And then I'm not going to tell you whether to eat meat or not. That's not my place. But if you watch that, you might probably not want to eat meat for a couple of weeks because it's pretty disgusting, or at least know where your meat's coming from.
Right. It's funny because you're like talking about a pig farm and I'm like, oh yeah, it's totally gross. But when I'm done with this, I'm going to go eat some chicken. So,
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Again, like I'm not like, I told him like, I don't think soapboxing fiction, horror is great because you can put statements like that in a horror movie without being didactic. Right. I mean, The Shining is about child abuse, but they don't really talk about it a lot. They show it. Spousal abuse.
Yeah.
The Exorcist, which you wanted to talk about, is about divorce. It's all surreal because it's a horror movie. But like the entire movie is like her beginning. She begins to get possessed when he overhears her mom arguing with her ex about like the dad won't come and see her and stuff. So that's sort of like where they root that movie in sort of like a child's response to a broken family. And her losing control. And the mother, it's actually about the mother losing control over everything, over her kid, over her life, over her relationship. So I said like, so yeah, you could make a statement about, without being, like preachy, about an animal abuse in a horror movie pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just show the farm, make it really disgusting, and then have the people go in there, like they use those electric things where they shock you, or they use that gun where they like the air gun. I mean, like, and then they skin you alive, whatever. I mean, whatever. Without, that's how it's good horror stuff.
Well, that sounds cool. Now, you didn't write the script for that. You're just directing it.
Yeah.
Cool. Dude, I'm excited. There's so much shit. Like after talking to you, I'm excited to check out all these fucking documentaries and shit. I'm learning today. I'm like taking notes.
Yeah.
Doesn't really happen when I do this podcast. Usually I'm just like, yeah. And then we were in fucking Tacoma, Washington, and like tour stories type shit. So this is cool.
Road stories.
Yeah, there's a lot of that on this show. But this has been fucking great, man. We've definitely been going an hour and 43. I don't know what you got to do.
Oh yeah, no, I gotta go. Sorry, I took so long. If you get me started talking, I'll talk for a long time.
No, dude, I love it. Like, because I like your films and I'm going to watch more of them, and I'm excited to be talking to you, dude. And I, like I said in the message that I sent you, I just love that there's someone else with a Facebook page that's fucking with these idiots. It's fun.
Yeah.
So thanks for being on here, man. I'm going to.
Yeah. Let me know. Link me to when your podcast, when you're going to show the cast.
Yeah. When
do you show the video too? Do you stream it, or you just use the audio?
I do both. It's totally video. So right now what I'm doing is I got a switcher, and I'm switching from here's my face, here's your face. So it's just a 1-2. And then are
you using OBS?
Yeah, I'm using OBS to record.
Yeah, okay.
And then it goes live on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's got like 1,600 subscribers. It's small, but
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoy doing this. So I'll definitely send you a link, and I think I want to caption it like two posers talk about stuff, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we're
posers talking about posing.
Yeah. Two posers talking about
posers
posing.
Posers pose philosophical questions.
Exactly. We be posing.
We're posers.
We be posing, and we be quote woke, I guess.
I can't tell you how many people have asked me, why did Steve-O say he's a poser? Like Matt angrily asked me, why did Steve-O at the end of SLC Punk call himself a poser? I'm like, man, that's what every punk I ever knew said, that they're a fucking poser.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, at a certain point, you're like, I'm not going to call myself a punk. That's what other people do.
Yeah, and we've been running with that on the Reagan Youth page like really hard too. Just owning it, just saying, yeah, we're posers and we're cucks and we're this and we're that, and like throw shit at us, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's the cucks is everyone's using cucks now. Cucks and simps and all that Twitter talk, Twitch talk.
Yeah, all the above. We are all the above.
Yeah, I told him I'm a soy man.
I'm not a boy, I'm a man.
Yeah, I'm a soy man, and I only talk to proud men.
Yeah, I don't talk to boys. I talk to men.
Yeah,
that's funny, man.
Soy man.
Yeah, like in Zoolander.
Yeah, I'm a merman.
Merman.
Merman. I'm a soy man.
I'm a soy man, Pop. I'm a soy man.
Don't call me a soy boy.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Well, on that note, I got pissed really bad, too. Okay. I'm going to go eat chicken. So, James, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks.
And I will send you a link, and we will pose. We will be posing.
Great. Sounds good.
Cool. So, yeah, when you're ready, just hit that red button. And thanks again, dude.
Thank you. Bye.
God bless.